Hello, Buster. Goodbye, Buster. Where's my link? There's my link. What was this screen? This screen was nothing. Where's the loop? There it is. Ouch. Alright. Shabbat Shalom. It is the 30th of November, 12:03 p.m. on a crisp and I don't want to go outside, nipples as hard as diamonds afternoon. I am your host, the Negrost with the most, with hair nappy in the wind, flowing like my dick. Single player Carl. Hi, hello, how you doing? How's your mama? Today is Yap-In number 31. I literally cannot consider the fact that we have already gotten to the 31 mark. But it is what it is, you know? Those that are new to the program and the channel, should you be randomly clicking on this on the platform, now is your opportunity that if you have a burning question and or would like to confront me about something that you want to call in about, here's your chance. Click the link, go into the lobby, call into the show and get 15 minutes. If your conversation is good enough, we will extend for an hour more. General topic of today, I don't really have one. I've been seeing retarded dumb shit on the platform, on all platforms. And I'm kind of, like, tired of seeing them because they're really stupid. I've seen everything from people complaining how basic games are meant to be played, and then act as though that's not how games are meant to be played. I've seen everything from internet lolcows play with people's lives because they thought it was funny to go racing on the road, to people just basically acting as though it is not possible at all to understand the basic considerations that go into discussion and understanding about life in general. I've seen a content creator complain on the platform acting as though it is entirely impossible for them to understand how they could do something as simple as improve their platform or appreciate the amount of views that they get on their live streams, should they be a Twitch viewer or a Twitch streamer or a YouTuber or a multi-platform streamer. I have seen everything under the sun that just doesn't grasp them for how serious it is. It's really stupid. In general, everything that I've been seeing, especially with the timeline, has basically been people just begging for attention and just acting like they don't understand basic concepts, especially operational security. Strikes me as the stupidest kind of shit possible and the cringiest kind of shit you could ever see. Oh, Christ almighty. I have now seen SpongeBob on a ribbon G-string. This day could not get any better. Or worse. Plateau in the middle. Anyways. I have seen grand horrors beyond man-made design, and I am quite frankly disgusted by most of it. But, as we picked up watching Naira get their shit packed in for being an internet lolcow, it might all turn around and be worth it. So we're gonna break even, at the most part. Not sure how I truly feel about that at the end of the day. Mainly because I would like somebody to finish it. But it is what it is. I prefer being happier if it were to fully go to its ontological conclusion. Because for all the things and all the people on the platforms that kind of make this place dog shit to be on, I think internet clout sharks like Naira VT is probably one of the worst ones. I think generally the VTuber question right now is in question as a entire think piece for the entire space. Because there are too many people that have just proven themselves to be posers. People aren't able to truly appreciate what it is that we're supposed to be here for. And I feel like it's going to go to a point where it can only go one way. And I would prefer it go that way than this way. So no matter what really happens next, I don't know where we're going. But I would like to hope that it goes someplace where this is not the kind of shit that's just going to happen all the time now. Grifter is an overused word that keeps getting used way too often with the platforms that we're dealing with and the people that we're dealing with. But I don't see any way that it can't not be literally these same individuals literally grifting off of situations and pretending that they do not understand what kind of problems they're causing for other people because they cannot help themselves. I would like to think that it is much easier than what people have made it out to be right now. Then again, I'm just one guy, and when it comes to this question, I have yet to hear an answer from this from content creators. Because if I was to hear an answer that makes some kind of rational sense from content creators, maybe my opinion would change on the top end. But I don't feel like my opinion will change, because I don't feel like anybody has an answer to this solution we are looking for. Like, I feel like the solution for half the problems that we're getting with content creators behaving this way is that we allowed too many people to unironically become media grifters. So just off of what I've seen this week alone, people like the Birdman constantly deciding to talk up to channels that focus on making media, like that of the Critical Drinker, specifically wants to sit in this place where it can antagonize the content. But all they ever have to offer is negative opinions and nothing of bespoke opinion or purpose. While individuals like Mauler putting out 17-hour-long videos on a video game and people just literally talking about it on the timeline like it is impossible for them to tune into the shit and just watch it. Like, by watching material, they'll somehow become capable of understanding why it is that people are saying that they're acting stupid. And how it somehow just keeps repeating itself, no matter how often it is demonstrated that they just bring up the same shit and act like we're still living in 5 years ago from the beginning of EFAP's founding, as they just keep using the same talking points. Whether it be Jenny Nicholson or their favorite leftist basically getting their shit packed. Or worse, Anthony Granuccia. I'd like to think that I'm the old man in the situation. That the problem that is happening here is that I'm clearly seeing everything from an angle that other people don't see it from and don't get it from. So I'm just missing things, forest from the trees type shit. I'd like to think that I'm the crazy one in this situation, but I feel like I'm not crazy. I feel like I'm being made crazy by noticing it all happening so often, but I don't feel like I'm the crazy one for noticing the shit is happening. Because I've noticed this amongst fans, I've noticed this amongst fallen fans, I've noticed this amongst up-and-coming creators, I've noticed this amongst the clout sharks that usually are media grifters on other platforms like TikTok. I've noticed this about gaming topics. You know how quick people are to immediately say they're fans of something like E33, and then in the next section they're bitching about a jump puzzle that they failed because they were going so fast that they didn't get the fucking button prompt. It's like, there's so much. There's so much. And that's just one topic alone. I don't know. I don't get it. I think it's cringe. I think it's weird. Because then, on the other side of it, it's never-ending drama. And nobody's ever talking to each other at the same time. We're still in the Fortress arc of people being off to their own. I've been able to touch bases with people and include people into my circles. But for the most part, we're still basically entire spears and wings of influencer and relations off from each other. Because everybody's moving at their own rate, doing whatever they want. They just don't see or hear from each other in any serious capacity. So it just becomes hard to see eye to eye. Because you basically have to catch them while they're live in order to talk to them directly. And then when you do this, there are people that will just be like, oh, well, I don't know what you're talking about. That's new to me. I've never seen that whatsoever in my life. Meanwhile, you tune back into the content like a day later, an hour later. They're literally repeating the same talking points that they just had on the platform. Then, in line with the shit that I said in the Ghost of Yote video, you've got individuals that have entire community members coming to people like myself for opinions on how to feel about the content creators. Because they literally don't know who to trust. Because they can't trust the content creator because they've been exposed for being a grifter. And they can't trust other people around them because they're getting benefits and profiteering off of the drama too. It's such an interesting experience. And then if that person were to get confronted by somebody, they would only actually acknowledge it if it's, quote, somebody of size. Which thus repeats the same problem with the size queens at the end of the day. Which is disgusting in and of itself. But there's not really much one can do about it. Because that's everyone now. Even people that are in Twitch and only ever broadcast solely to broadcasting on Twitch, that have more than enough reason to find more places and more opportunities to broadcast from. They are just basically pretending not to understand that views are not everything. And actually being a part of something is more important. I don't know. I'd like to think that I'm crazy. It would be nice if any person in chat could tell me if I am or am not crazy. Because a homie needs to know. I need to know if I'm capping or if I'm crazy or not. Because I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Because anytime I notice this kind of shit, I'm supposedly the one in the wrong for thinking that integrity is supposed to matter more than clout sharking. A bit slow on the uptake, but I could probably perfect that later. You're not crazy. I do believe this is sort of spiritual with several rot that comes from regards to clout sharking. Could be economic recession, could be not taking business no one, could be their own selves. So here's the way that I feel about it, okay? I have 3 perspectives. Social, content creator, and then ecosystem. I am of the opinion that what has happened because of the culture war, air quote, is that people have forgotten that there's a cost. There is a cost to this shit. There's levels to this shit. There is intention to this shit. People are so desiring the opportunity to just simply act like shit does not fucking smell at the end of the day, that I can find users doing it. I can find creators doing it. I can find moderators doing it. Literally before I went live, a person tried to play stupid, like operational security is not a thing that content creators like SmashedAT can invest into. And all they have to do is not post shit online. Posting their families, posting their wives, posting their immediate intimate partners and or relatives. So that when people like Dave Paul Riviera and his army of trolls sit there and say, well, it's fair game because he puts it on his platform, users like this Atreus individual do not come along and hear somebody say, hey, maybe you guys should invest in operational security and say, what? This diddy hat is saying that it's okay for people to harass people? As though operational security is not something that people are supposed to be using. Whether it be because they've gotten so used to acting like it's us or them, that underhanded behavior is acceptable, that basic standards imply the reason and the purpose why an individual like myself would want to make a video like I did for Grifters of Yote. Because of course people like Ronell are going to be fuckasses that are going to do whatever the fuck they want to do. That's how they make their money. That's how those online media grifters make their particular buck and bang. If I make my buck and bang being honest, being truthful, and consuming the content and doing what I'm asked to do, and or paid or encouraged to do by my audience, they are paid and they are encouraged to lie about their material investment and only ever stay inside of their own circles of influence. That is far expected to happen, and I can't really get mad. I can be annoyed by it, but I can't get mad at it, because they're not going to fucking listen to an individual like myself, because they've long since given that up. That's not in their focus, right? SmashedAT is not about to log on to theinternet.com and start playing Path of Exile in Season 4. That's not going to happen. He's not going to log on and play PoE 2 in Last of the Druids for Fall of the Ball. Because he doesn't make his money from that. He makes his money from drama. However, the people around him, specifically this kind of individual who showed up on the timeline, they surround themselves with this kind of egomania. So when you tell them something that sounds like common sense, they sit there and say, nuh-uh, what? What am I supposed to do? Just let them get away with it? And it's like, let them get away with what? You're posting your location, you're posting images of yourself with your partner, saying, it's date night, long after you just got your shit packed in by Colin of all people, and somehow it's entirely impossible to consider maybe it doesn't have to be there? Suddenly every single person who says maybe you could have security and respect for yourself and your partner must be an evil individual? Because I don't immediately go along with it. Okadoke? Huh? I certainly don't get that. I don't think I'll ever understand that. And yet that's what it's accused of. The same way that when I talk to, or rather when I attempted to make a tweet at individuals like Nick Ricada, he's going to sit there and say, what? No, I have to go onto the platform and react to every single person who's negatively interacting with me. You guys are just mad that I'm not doing it the way you want to. Like, no, bitch, I want you to get the fuck off the platform and stop looking for attention. Go to therapy. Because how is it that you can say this and then immediately show up on your content fucking hot off the Glenlivet, ranting about Amber and Ian like this shit is normal? And not just myself, but other people doing it as well. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Because, of course, on the creator level, with people like, say, the Birdman, when he decided to do his form of media grifting, which is to basically be antagonistic to people like the Critical Drinker, just because I guess he can't make as much money attacking CinemaSins as he could attacking the new media figures in fan media. It's up there with that shit that happened involving that Star Wars girl, Anna. An entire session of drama manufactured and created off of the fact that somebody didn't talk to her sooner, as she is sitting there watching the VOD, watching material, and watching the live stream, and getting mad that the users that are there talking about the fact that they didn't know what was going on, they didn't exacerbate the situation out of control, they waited to get new information, and then, when they were off the broadcast, X-Ray Girl was amongst many that asked what was going on and what was okay, because they didn't want to spread around rumors about shit that was going on in a clique-like fashion. Somehow, that's bad, that's grifting, and that's unacceptable, and the people around them are acting like that shit is anything even less than normal or sweet. Because, I don't know, it's gotta be the newest locker room talk among what's going on with those figures at that time. For whatever reason, they want to say it has to be, or should be, normal to do. How much fucking armor do you have? That much. Then, of course, you got the space level. And as far as I'm concerned, I think the gaming space is fucked. This was something that came up in a bunch of different topics with other people, with including some of my mutuals on the platform. Like, say, Tina. Where, right now, the gaming sphere, when it comes to video games that exist, the gaming sphere isn't ruined permanently. Because the gaming industry isn't ruined permanently. But it's very clear that it's suffering. And it is suffering for the actions of people that have long since broken other people's trust. And as much as it sucks that that is the case, it is still something that we allowed to happen. Because we didn't start gatekeeping hard enough. Didn't gatekeep hard enough. Didn't make sure that we went about things the right way. Where it's like a venue after a party. It's all trashed. Nobody feels responsibility for fixing up the space and cleaning it up and leaving it better than we found it. Somebody else will take care of the problem, basically. And thus this means, in the viewpoint of every single person who's getting involved in this information, the story, the drama, entire communities believe it's just normal to just shit on things. Because my favorite content creator didn't say it was wrong, so you're gender policing. But then actual communal between individuals in a place that isn't curated by somebody, that's all gone to shit. 100% that's all gone to shit. And I know that it's gone to shit because it's the kind of thing that I specialize in. Well, none of those individuals are really trying to get to understand each other and know each other. And somehow, if you mention this, if you consider this being a thing that you would bring to your attention, just to be like, where did we go wrong? You somehow become the bad guy. Now I remember in the past, way long back, when Twitter was still under Dorsey's control, that the opposite happened. By no means were people working together and talking about shit. But it was at least possible that you did not see the same media figures basically pretending that there's only one person who's ever talking about something at any one particular time. And I know that from some of you yesterday, it is your opinion that I am underrated, and that I am not spoken of or held up in the same regard. And yet I can promise you, amongst these new age creators, especially the young ones that are closer to the Zoomers, it appears to me like it's not gonna get better before it gets worse. Not even close. Because the people that are involving themselves in shit, and that are doing this in the purpose of the space, are basically new fags. And in their new faggery, they are making it impossible to actually have conversations. Because just like hoodweebs, they are only interested in one thing, which is attention for themselves and only themselves and others, with no further discussion down the middle whatsoever at all. While people that are not playing video games sit there and act like, yeah, bro, I'm definitely playing games. I play this game that nobody ever hears of, and I don't associate with any person in this sphere, and it's completely normal for me to do that. What do you mean that I'm the odd man out? Obviously, you don't play video games, Mr. Broadcaster that plays for 6 to 16 hours a day live on camera, even when covering news. It's to the point where Nicholas Diorio has more street cred than some of these internet figures, left-wing or right-wing. It's getting to the point where the left-wing figures have more credentials to talk about games than these supposed new media figures that are part of the culture warriors. And then, creatively, I think most of them are bankrupt. Because they realize they don't have to actually make content anymore. It's like the inverse Twitch thought problem. They know that they don't actually have to play video games in order to grow an audience. They can just say, hate this person, hate that person, DEI, 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 woke, 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 woke. And that's more than enough to get them across the pond. Oh, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I still, even with rationally understanding what's happening and seeing it happen in front of me, I still feel like I'm taking crazy pills. And I want off the crazy, wacky, wild ride. Because it's not getting any better or getting any less annoying any faster. I want it to stop. I want it to come to an end. But I don't think it will. I do not think it will. Could be economics. Blah, blah, blah. Reminds me of the Dwarf King from Macronum. His thought process was, what can I use this for, instead of what is the cost of its use. Technology exploded into their hands, but longevity makes us understand the consequences of our mistakes. What angers me is that gaming was ruined by people who used to insult you for playing games. It's a lot more than that now. Maybe early new 10s. New 10s, new 20s, that was probably the case coming out of COVID. Now, I think it's more that gaming is getting ruined by people that have no actual direct interest in gaming. I can always be able to go to the well of Smash JT for perfect examples of this behavior because he's exactly the kind of gaming boomer that demonstrates the point. Because there is no world where a person can be as much of a gaming boomer as somebody like Smash JT, and sit there with a serious face and say, yes, I definitely know what the gamers are thinking, when he cannot bring him to play video games on camera with anyone. With the media people, the guys that specialize in watching television, they don't have to play video games. They do play them, occasionally, but they don't have to play video games. And then, of course, there's the social interaction part of it, where I can create community events for myself and others, with people like Lenore, frequently playing Tekken, frequently playing Phasmophobia, frequently playing Repo, and whatnot. It is an additional addendum where I can set up things like the Once Human pivot that we are finishing, about to finish, going into Exile 2, or this Exile 2 pivot that I'm about to have, or the community events, or the community content being provided by people like Axel Crusher from their own money, or a group goal that we raise together for the purposes of covering content like Expedition 33, or South of Midnight. And somehow, this thing that I can do, and that Varadart can do, and that other figures can do, especially including people like Cassie can do, Hypnotic can do, Sheepsidian can do, Horror Amada, his wife, can do, who we've recently met along with Sheepsidian. Things that other figures can do in the scene. Somehow, Niru can do. Somehow, it is entirely impossible to ask these individuals who want to talk on these topics and basically act like media grifters. It is impossible to ask them to play the fucking game in the same breath that they find themselves trying to spend money on the mechanisms to weaponize the conversation. But the second you ask them to log into their account, suddenly they got a lot to say. And they're crying and whining about it. I don't get it. I don't get it, and I want to understand. I want to know. I want to give the benefit of the doubt, but I can't. Because I know it's bullshit. I know it's bullshit. Every fiber of my being tells me that I know that it's bullshit. And yet somehow, they are the victims. They put themselves in harm's way to be the victims, but they are the victims. And they're so used to that. They're so used to being able to play victim and have nobody criticize them, that by talking about the fact that it keeps happening, it somehow says that you deserve no attention for not immediately falling on your knees and sucking their cock. I don't get it. Me no get it. Me no get it, chat. Me no get it. That's a nice chest. That's a nice head. Me no get it. I want to understand. I want to know. I want to get it, but I don't get it. I mean, tourists, posers, whatever word you want to use here as a replacement or a borrowed word for it, would be apt. I don't like calling them posers, because posing is a lot less important than tourists. The tourist problem is that people that do not frequent this sphere of influence and do not participate in this content and do not participate in the conversations are presenting themselves as experts when they do the least. Whereas posers are people who have never done it whatsoever and are simply just trying to bait as much attention out of it as possible. The tourism is the part that is cantankerous. Because it's the part that is the most abusive of people's trust. Especially in the capacity of whose coverage on a topic you can trust. For example, I know that for me, it can be beating a dead horse when I talk about it like this. But it's like you have to actually know if that person is actually of your people and of your kind, or if they're just saying the easy talking point that they know they won't be questioned for, because it's become so easy to just grift into the tourist perspective, because doing a little bit somehow is the same thing as doing a lot. Because posers, they don't lose anything. They can just simply pretend and then disappear like Rage Bait Gaming. They don't actually have to invest anything at the end of the day. That's fortunate. They don't have to invest anything at the end of the day. They don't lose anything for being deeply involved in conversations and matters such as these. I have it in the thing, so I should be fine here. And ironically enough, I trust the women more than I do the men on this, too. Somehow, the men are worse. I feel like I maybe corrupted it when I first had the first roll. They probably would have been better. Like, I don't know, because it's not a gender thing. Do not get it twisted. It's not a gender thing. It's just literally a who is invested and who's not thing. The sheer amount of times that I could just catch people just faking involvement, faking concern. I don't quite know what to do or how to handle it. My first knee-jerk opinion is that those people need to be told to fuck off, and that you just need to keep exposing them as many times as possible, but that creates animosity that you don't have the ability to sustain, because then it becomes based on how many people are actually noticing it and hearing it. And then you have to actively do it on a mainstream platform, and that just creates its own problem. Because then not a lot of people are going to speak on that. I don't know. I'm at a crossroads that I'm not happy with where it is. But complaining without creating solutions and offering solutions brings you nothing but depression. So instead, what I can do is I can see this pattern, and I can choose to try and break it by providing what I believe is the answer, and then go from there. Because for the games that I play, I very much doubt that there are going to be people who are going to come see things from my view eye to eye. Right? Because, for me, because I play the kind of shit that I do, they're not going to see the reason why this is important. And yet, look at how quickly the internet took to shit like Where Winds Meet, which is yet another game made by NetEase. And then how quickly people were immediately like, yeah, this is going to beat out anything that's in the American market. Gaming is saved! And it's like, I know you motherfuckers do not care about this video game. Because that shit reeks of whales. I got, like earlier the other week, I believe one of my posts was me talking about the fact that one of their events, one that is like player purchase that costs like $1,000 fucking dollars, is like, yeah, this drop party is really great. This is fun. This is peak gaming. Monetizing money for other players' benefits. And it's like, this is a glorified OSRS drop party. And it's not worth the money. This game requires 100 gigabytes of space to download. And it probably just is some level of gameplay similar to Guild Wars. And I know for a fact that with maybe the exception of people like the content creator Memphis Wave, I can't tell you a single person that is playing a true guild clanner game. I cannot tell you a single person who is engaging in it. Not one. I know plenty of you play Warframe, and I know that many of you played it for the dating sim, but I don't know a single fucking person that is actually engaged with it in this capacity and are really gonna, their entire chest, are gonna sit there and say, well, see, Carl, you have to understand, this is a level of depravity that you can't truly experience and get. You can't appreciate the levels of goonery that we're on, Carl. Carl, it is deeply an enigma to your mind. You don't get it. You're not going to be able to get it until you truly accept it for what it is. Type shit. To the point that I feel fucking lost. I feel truly and ultimately lost. It's something that I see in regards to the tech sphere. They want to make something or get something that makes them fly off into the sunset without the consequences of such things going out of whack. Construction company not worrying about the safety procedures of building a structure or building. Oh yeah, like spiritual community OSHA, 100%. Or how a Pan-African wants to go back to the glory days of Harlem or insert popular black city here without the maintenance, patience, or time it takes to flourish. Funny story, I was going to download it, but then it says how many gigabytes on it, playing Warframe for years, but then felt they kept adding on in sloppy fashion. I think on that, it's that people are being given this idea, because don't get me wrong, it is probably millions of miles better that you have a company like NetEase bringing these games to the American market. Marvel Rivals, for example, shit like that. I think it is thousands of leagues better that it exists, okay? Because first off, there's no undoing and uncorking the genie. The genie's not going back at the bottle. If we wanted to have social dominance on content, we needed to maintain it, and we didn't. That's just first off and foremost. We did not maintain it. We did not put investment into it. We were very lazy. We pushed it off onto other people and off to other spheres of influence. And we acted like it was entirely impossible for us to focus on what mattered most at the end of the day. Which was that level of investment feeding back in a loop onto the American marketplace. It is very much the case that that is our fault. There's no one fucking that. But I am not of the mind that our salvation with this material is going to be in the hands of the foreign market when you can't even find people that are willing to commit to the shit outside of the new investment bonus, right? Now, part of this is the fact that we live in this fortress arc where people that are trying to build camaraderie and community between multiple people are struggling to do so because they just don't go outside of their sphere of influence. They don't go outside of these communities that they claim set to belong to. So, I'll give you an example. I actually got a DM the other day from a fan of Jay and I. They are a person that is actually inside of Short Fat Otaku server. They added me. They said, "Hi, how you doing? I like your content, Carl. I appreciate the content that you and Jay do together." And it was nice. Compared to the kind of messages I usually get, it was nice. At the same time, I went onto the platform, and I saw a post from Nuru. And Nuru was highlighting that there was a Twitch streamer, that their idea of community is that they go into the chat room of other people that she doesn't know. Not creators that she's friends with, not people that she's already cool with. Goes into the comment sections of people that she doesn't know and expect those content creators to basically give her a shout out for free while she sits there lurking in their chat room while she's streaming. Cuckoo. Hello, Amy. It was a level of ridiculous that I could not fathom. Because I thought to myself, who does that? Who is going into a streamer's chat for the first time, never meeting them, never knowing them, and basically saying, "Send much love, boo, I'm a lurk." And then they go onto Twitter and they say, "Another failed stream. You guys failed me. You didn't give me enough views. I hope the next time I go live, I don't see this kind of trash." You think I'm joking? I'm gonna show you. You think I'm joking? I'm gonna show you. Where is it? Where is it? Wasn't that far up today? Here he is. Right here. When it comes to other streamers on Twitch, I don't care about your follow. If you don't come in every now and again and speak, it means nothing. The bare minimum is lurking and racking up channel points. I've unfollowed streamers for not reciprocating support, and I don't feel bad. Meanwhile, so glad you had a good day. Lurk while stream, heart, deleted. This is not community, man. It's not. Do not misunderstand me. I'm not talking about lurkers being bad. I'm talking about the fact that we are all grown adults, and we have aged out of the system where we are the kinds of people that have chat rooms moving a mile a minute. Outside of the biggest content creators. Big enough. We are not sitting in chat rooms all the time. We are usually multitasking and watching shit on a second monitor, third monitor, or second window, third window, while we're also doing something else. It's like when Jay is editing, whenever I ask her to do something with me, or when I'm editing while I'm in Jay's chat room reacting to shit. The thing that's actually important is that I'm there in the chat room, interacting and engaging with people, while also doing several things. The engagement is what matters most. But you also have to actually be of the space, be in the people and of the people at the same time. And I feel like this is the pit that's not connecting. At the same time, one of the tweets that I came across, this one. Another failed stream. Thank you for 3 hours of complete loneliness. Again, let's hope tomorrow somebody actually fucking shows up. Not helping is all the @Ghosters folks that some case have not bothered to drop by in 2 years. I might as well do a server point at this point. Not a channel purge, a server purge. Somehow, these individuals are broadcasting in this way. And when I looked into the numbers, bro, they don't have anything to complain about. Do you know how I know? Because I looked up their Solino numbers. This girl's numbers are not the problem. I'm pretty sure it's just her attitude. Read it and fucking leap. Average viewer is 263. Do you realize how good that is? In this time period of Twitch? Average number of streams, average number of hours of streams, average peak viewers, average followers gain, and somehow this is the sign of what it looks like to have failure. I don't get it, bro. I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. I feel like if I was to understand it, I'll have psychosis. It feels like pulling teeth. Because I know I'm the first one to say that you can't teach hunger. But I don't know what to do with trying to get this through to some people. Especially when it's like certain individuals who specialize in misunderstanding this. Especially amongst the media grifters. I don't know how better I can illustrate the problem. Because this is why it feels like I'm taking crazy pills. I've never been the type of person to care about the amount of views that I have on my content. Because Lord knows if I did, I would have crashed out a very long time ago. But I swear to God, it is like people were handed a lottery ticket. And somehow, they are complaining about their steak being too juicy and their lobster being too buttery, while actively being the worst mannered people in existence. The worst mannered. At the same time, cross communities, people that are streamers or people that are fans of multiple people. The less I say here, the better, because I don't want to put something out there that doesn't need to be discussed here, that needs to be discussed privately. But it's like this, right? Let's use a hypothetical, because I think the best example is people that are fans of me and Jay. Let's say there's 100 people that only engage in Jay's content. They only ever watch Jay's videos, they only ever interact in Jay's live streams, and occasionally they see where I am, and they have this negative opinion of me. Where they basically say, why is Carl even here? They don't see the value, they don't see the reason, they don't understand, and they don't give a fuck. If I was to be in a conversational room with them, these people would end up being some of the most antagonistic individuals possible. And when put in that situation, if I was to then tell them, well, have you tried watching any of the content that I actually make? And their answer would basically be, bro, I don't even know where to find your content. Meanwhile, hypothetically speaking, of course, so alternate timeline, this doesn't exist, this doesn't happen. Well, meanwhile, Jay were to run a Discord. And in that Discord, I post my links. She has a shilling section designed for advertisement. And those users are just lurkers in general. They joined the server, they put it immediately on mute, they don't check the posts, they don't check the tweets, They don't come to community events. They don't talk to each other. They don't get to know each other. The only time they show up is when they heard about something really wild and crazy going on. They stick their head in, they leave. And it just so happens that the content that they choose to catch that could feature myself and her together is shit like Interview with a Vampire, and that's it. They never saw the She-Hulk videos. They never saw any of my individual content. They never watched any of the crossover live streams that she and I have done on her channel as well as mine. Just completely inept. And someone were to say something to me in the content along the lines of, man, you always sound like this. Why can't you ever sound happy? And they don't know anything about what's going on in my personal life. They don't know about the fact that I'm usually behaving deadpan. That I try to bite my tongue on things. This, probably the biggest factor for what causes this kind of problem. Because here's the options. If I were to say anything, if I was to even breathe a means of negativity, that person would not realize that they stepped a boundary. And that in stepping said boundary, what happens next with me going about protecting my peace would be 100% justified. But as far as they would be concerned, it would be a case of, oh man, check it out, he's showing his true colors. Because they're just used to seeing things one way, experiencing things one way, communicating with things one way. They don't step outside of that boundary. Let's say that there are maybe some people that I have banned from my audience that have then gone to hers. And that they feel that because they have certain privileges inside of that community, that it means that they can now do things like antagonize me live on broadcast in the middle of content. And that if I knee-jerk do exactly the normal thing that I'd be expecting to do, which is to say, who do you think you are that you can talk to me like that? Huh? That's weird, buddy. That it would go any other way other than me being completely, preponderously confused at the audacity that they could have. It's happened more than once. And not just Jay. Other creators too. Other people too. I don't know how best to address it. Because I feel like when I address it, and I try to be fair, and make clear that I don't want to cause problems and cause trouble and fuck up a paycheck for myself or anyone else involved. I cannot begin to tell you the levels of confused that I end up being, because I can only wonder where the fuck this energy came from. Because I can almost promise you, it only ever happens when I choose to be nice and considerate. And I feel like the more that it happens, and the more that I don't immediately put my foot up someone's ass, the more that it's going to continue happening. But I've gotten to the point where I'm a grown adult at the age of 30-fucking-1, and I've said to myself, it's not worth it. It's not worth crashing out. There are people who want me to crash out. Like that group of individuals that when I beat them so fucking hard in a league match, they spent those 2 weeks trying to set me up the bomb, to try and embarrass and insult me in a situation that they designed with social nicety as the means of preventing me from crashing out on them. Because out of context, knowing that there are cameras on me and that there are people recording me to try and take my words out of context, if I pop off wild at the gums, they're not going to record the context, they're just going to show the crash out. So the only thing that I can do is aptly be aware of the fact that this is happening and move accordingly. One of those people, literally the other day, showed up in my TikTok DM mentions, trying to offer me a link back to their server, when I very clearly left after getting them on camera admit that they did this behavior, and then them getting banned from my server because I showed it to horror. Things like this is what makes me think that it's cooked, socially. Like, gaming will recover. It's mid right now, the kinds of games that exist. The behavior in the games, the gameplay mechanics, loops and mechanics, outside of single-player games, multiplayer shit, PvM, PvP shit, it's mostly mid. Things are copying other games, and those other games are feeling dog shit because of that copying. Arc Raiders feels like Fortnite for adults. Fortnite feels like Call of Duty for kids. Call of Duty feels like a lazy-ass grown adults milsim, but without the armor, or without the rust. In general, the overall feel of something like Arc Raiders is basically OSRS in its entirely own environment, with deep wildy behavior being normal. Helldivers, it's aight. It's still mid. But, you know, in terms of a true PvE game where people cannot just destroy your game experience by trying to kill you all lobby long, it's whatever. You can at least lead your own lobby and play your way for success. But Lord have mercy, are you tired of the people that you're playing alongside? And then, outside of your own community, whether or not you're able to connect with another person and vibe with them and create the opportunity to then expand your circle, it is almost entirely prevented by whether or not that person says, "Carl, are you having a good day? What's going on in your personal life?" Because nobody wants to ask those questions. Because that then encourages them to get to know you more, rather than hearing from other people things that they don't know and knowing you less. You know what I mean, chat? Hopefully some of you get what I'm trying to say here. All of these factors together is applying a level of antisocial personality, where the statement continues to prove true that I love the games I play, I hate the people playing them. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. But considering that I'm just giving you a hypothetical example of something that has actually happened to me live on camera more than 5 times this year alone, I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what the fuck to say. And then, of course, the general idea of shit like this. Things like this right here. Especially when it comes to, like, new creators understanding how things work. And whether or not they understand, like, greater concepts. Like putting yourself and your community at risk. Because the amounts of people that will pretend not to understand shit, it's to its maximal peak. So, when it comes to that question that I was asked by Du Bois the other day about creators like Smash JT, especially when they out themselves as, you know, not capable of actually telling you something that you can't find out yourself. There are people that go out onto the internet.com spreading more toxicity, more animosity, more antagonism amongst other people than they are creating positivity. this person posts their family on that media feed where they are attacking and fighting and antagonizing and trolling and aggravating people. And there are people on the other side of the aisle, left, right, dead of center, apolitical, anarcho-primitivist, what have you. And they then take that ammunition that you give them, because you gave them ammo to attack you with, and they will see them do things like attack their family. And when other people sit there on the sidelines, or sit there in the shit, and say, no fucking family, no fucking family, no fucking family, no fucking family, no fucking family. And then you look to your left, you look to your right, and you see these people using their kids as a shield. And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Put that shit away! People like this will come across and say, what? Is people like Smash JT not supposed to post his wife immediately after he lost an argument with Colin Moriarty? As he keeps going around the internet, acting like an asshole because he got blown out live on camera? That he then spreads more antagonism on the side-scrollers after he got blown out live on camera? Clearly, he's just not supposed to talk about his family. No. You're not supposed to. Not a single one of you have ever seen me, of my own volition, post Zulian on this timeline. The only reason I've only changed my opinion to do so is because of my woman asking me. Because she wants to put stuff like that out there for him. When we went to the fair, I covered him. When we went out with friends, we covered him. Adults? No problem. Post for pictures? Public people on public platforms? But only ever being discussed in the context of a party and a photo at the party? 100% fine. But posting people's kids without their permission? No! Posting my stepchild or her child without permission? Just for people to then attack her and him? No! Me posting her to then use it as a defensive shield that when somebody then attacks her for her weight, for her appearance, for her size, like that's normal? No! And yet look at this shit. Look at it! Look at it! The amount of retardation in this post requires a direct response. How are you fucking stupid that you guys don't fucking get this? If you're going to go out and act like an unrepentant troll, don't then sit there and say, wow, I don't get it, bro. Like, you're telling me that I shouldn't put my kids in the line of bullet fire? But what if I want to use my kid as a fucking meat shield? Save the fucking doors! Don't make content! You're not made for this! You don't get it. It should be so simple. And yet it's not. And then the idea that somebody suggests this, when it literally happened and you can go find it, you can look at it with your own eyes, chat. You can look at it with your own eyes. You can go through the replies. You can go through the media. You can go through the highlights. How many examples exist? Oh, look, I just went scrolling. One for the haters, November 29th, 2025. Hey guys, what happened around this time? What was a post that was made during November 29th? Let's go scrolling a little bit more. Let's see if we're going to find another one. Oh, look, here's another one. A post about Thanksgiving. Let's see if we can find another one. Oh, guys, look, here's another one. These are days apart, bro. These are days apart. And there are obviously people who are thrashing your partner. Is it not possible that you could just not post it? No. Meanwhile, the debate, the posts, antagonizing other people, debate, the posts. Oh look, another one. The same copy and pasted one. The same copy and pasted one either. And yet, where are they? What has happened? They're in your comments. They're trashing her. I'm searching my mind, I'm searching my head. Maybe it's possible that instead of posting this on Twitter, you post it on somewhere like Instagram? That would be a place to post pictures of you and your intimate partner, and also of your family, potentially with the faces of your children covered, so that they don't get targeted by people like Dave Paul Riviera and his field of Antifa trolls that care not for your OPSEC. You can definitely post it there, but probably don't post it to Twitter. Probably don't post it to Twitter without making it reply only. And then meanwhile, oh, what's that thing I just said? Oh yeah, you are creating lol-cow behavior, and you're behaving in this way where you are prognosticating this behavior that makes you look miserable. You are putting it out there as a meat shield, and then when they do what they're going to do, you then say, oh no, ah! And then somehow, in your heart of hearts, the individuals that say this act as though it is impossible to understand this concept. Again, am I taking crazy pills? I think this is a basic concept to get. I've even illustrated it live on camera. And they're still going to say they don't fucking get it. They're still going to say they don't fucking get it. Does someone have to die? Does someone have to get hurt because of this? Hurt bodies, hurt emotions, hurt feelings, hurt paychecks. I don't know, chat. I just must be special. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know what other way to put it together. I don't know what other way to explain it. This kind of shit that keeps going on. I don't know. Like, I feel like I've been transported back to the Smug Ryoko days of 2014 or 2019. That's what I feel has happened. I feel like I have taken a trip back in time with an adult mind. More adult mind. And I have crossed over with my own timeline, and I'm witnessing the behavior that at the time I just simply ignored because I was too busy doing what I had to do to survive and make money and get to where I am now. I'm witnessing this behavior happen back then, and as the teen dad in this situation, I'm the one that has to say, wait, why are we allowing this? Why are we here? What are we doing? What do I gain from this? What kind of behavior is it that is allowing this person to behave like this? Why is this normal? And I don't know. I don't fucking know, chat. Nobody has an answer for me. I can't find an answer. Nobody has an answer. Nobody can explain it to me. The content creators are all hiding behind their audiences and their sizes and figures. When you call them out on the platform, they take your words out of context. When you explain it directly to their face on a recording, they ignore the fucking video and try to block your account and then just pretend that you're just some person, some guy. When you call them out on material, when you're on platforms like TikTok, they just simply pretend to be retarded. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know. And you don't know either. So I guess I just sit here and I watch it happen, basically. There is no such thing as camaraderie. There is no basic concept like understanding. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. I don't know what to do, man. Like, I feel like it has to be somebody being unemployed. I feel like it has to be unemployment. Moggen's got the same idea. Like, it has to be unemployed behavior. But it's behavior coming from people who claim that they're media figures. It's behavior coming from people who claim that they're a part of the scene. It's coming from people who say that they're the voice of the consumer, but can't tell the consumer not a goddamn thing about the games, or the material, or the content, or the lore, or the drama, or the news that they're getting involved in, without it being about themselves. I feel like I'm mad. I feel like I'm going mad. I just don't know what to do. Because you can't... You cannot get them to view this on the level of understanding from basic communication about serious concerns. Right? That is not the problem that is being experienced here. The people in question, I also forgot that I needed to apply this so I can do the thing. The people who are involving themselves in this, and that are doing this behavior, they don't, I need more decks, they don't, for a single second, believe the shit that they are doing is normal or acceptable. I know for a fact that they do not. And yet we're still doing that thing where we act like it's anything else other than what it is. And the fact that it's being done, and it's often being done not just by the content creator but by members of their audience, the fact that I get affiliated with this behavior, the fact that any of us get affiliated with this behavior, what more can a man do? I ain't got the answers for this one, chat. I wish I did, but I don't. I should really test if I can live that slam. I don't think I can. And so I find myself at a road of stupidity. I consider it to be stupidity. A willful choice. Where fan media is dog shit, content creator media is dog shit, and is run-of-the-mill slop. And there's no true community to speak of. Because unless you are a size queen that they can make money off of, doesn't exist. Doesn't matter. It isn't real. And they will say that it's not serious up until the point where somebody gets affected by it. And or hurt by it. It feels so cooked. You feel so cooked, chat. So cooked. I feel like it is a choice that is intentionally made by people who do not actually care about what is left behind after they're done grifting off of it. Certainly, I must be right. And yet I feel like I'm just a madman raving. Because it's just shit that we don't really get. Because I can see it, and I can notice it, and I can take stock of it as much as I possibly want. It doesn't matter unless other people agree that it's a problem too. If other people don't agree that it's a problem, then I might as well just be talking for fun. Also, keep an eye out whether or not this person actually takes this fucking challenge, because I doubt that they will. Really just feel like spiritual OSHA. Don't care about people's lives until a death occurs. Then it's not them wanting to deal with the consequences and, you know, not a life gone. See, I feel like the problem isn't just that it has to have somebody's life get lost, which it shouldn't. Ain't nobody trying to get somebody hurt out here. But it should not require all this brouhaha. That's a bad ad. It should not require all this brouhaha to find someone that can see why it's important to have operational security. We can start there and expand outward. It shouldn't require having to be the bearer of bad news to break down to somebody why it's important that we not act like it's a bad idea to care about the fact you've got people potentially risking their loved one's security and safety because they want to be out here trolling for attention with drama. It should be just as simple as knowing that you represent more than just yourself. You represent other people. And if for nothing else, you take accountability on the fact that you represent other people, and you do your best to not embarrass them, and to not be a nuisance. But of course, for caring, I'm the lame one. This time I'm going to slam them. Both prefixes. Oh no. I feel like other content creators get this, but audience members don't get this because they're not creators. I feel like that's the problem at the end of the day. The people that are a part of the experience don't get it because they're not creators. They don't see how quickly this shit can spiral out of control. I think the dex is the most important part. But I would also like the leech. But I'm not going to be able to get that. So it just ends up being all hard at the end of the day, man. Nobody wants to take accountability, but everybody wants to be in the middle of drama and wants to be in the middle of the limelight and have the attention of the camera. Everybody wants the camera on them and they want to be the one to say, hey, monetize your haters, but they don't know how to actually monetize their haters. So they're just mustard gassing everybody left, right, and dead of center. I don't see any other way to teach consequences other than just let them destroy everything. You know? I feel like that's the only appropriate response in these situations. You have to let them destroy the shit. So that when it's all broken, you can say, this one, this nigga right here. That's not too bad. Ew. Double mana. But again, at the end of the day, I might be biased. And because of my biases, I find myself in the position where it's easier for me to notice this than for other people to appreciate it. And then it be treated as something that is just normal or normalized. Not that far off, 42. No, you shouldn't even bother about stacking anything away. It's all about to go bye-bye. I understand it. It's like doing events for your local suburbs. You want to connect one suburb to the next because you don't want to deal with the setting of Romeo and Juliet. Connect 5 villages, and you get a kingdom, and the like. You're cooking. Go on. Problem is there's always one man or one group of men that want to clog the toilet, and then you have to deal with the piping. Yeah, more or less. Ow, hand. I don't know. Just with places like Twitter alone, I feel like there's not a lot of ways for people to meet up with people and really see eye to eye with people. I feel like that's probably a part of the problem. And this too is something that some of us are aging out of. Certainly part of it might be that we're just having a cultural split where the kind of people that engaged in the material culture are now engaging in it in a way different than the norm of others. And at the end of the day, that is what it is. But I feel like I will be damned before I let myself fall to the same dilapidated behavior. Because that's part of the problem at the end of the day. Creators can't do this kind of behavior. Because it brings the property margin of the entire platforms we're a part of and the businesses we do down. We're all about building. We're not about destroying. For people who have never actually had to care about building anything in their lives, a business, let alone a community, let alone a brand, it's something that basically a far off distance in their mind. That it might as well be like you're asking someone to be on their best behavior, and all they've ever known is emulating and mocking jackass. I think that's the best way that I can phrase it. Like, they have spent all of their time and all of their investment copying what they believe is blah 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 based, and they don't have to deal with the fallout. So unless you can somehow connect to them in a way where when it becomes their favorite thing, they will finally understand it and they'll get it. But even then, that's not guaranteed, because hey, they didn't build it. Oh no, this thing that I used to do died. Oh, well, I just pack it up and then I start over again. And it's the same behavior. But now it's killing another thing. It's ruining another base. It's ruining another space. It's affecting another group. It's affecting another bit of monotony. Because it's different. It always has been different. When it's your thing. Certainly I've been the kind of guy that has cared when anybody's personal hobby or personal space gets invaded, destroyed, ruined, wrecked, ransacked, corrupted, or whatever, and what have you, by whatever you could see as a part of the problem. But I see it as a failure of all groups and communities involved when they can't bring themselves to care about their own thing that they claim up and down they swear by. Beautiful. That's one way to get around the bubble problem. But it has come to my attention after much meditation, thought, and example that people just don't see it that same way anymore, you know? Or they're so jaded that they figure, yeah, tear it up, burn it down. Especially when it comes to people that are supposedly building parallel societies. All that I've seen from the people that call themselves becoming a part of a parallel society is that the behavior that they perceive is acceptable now becomes the norm in the new world. And at that point, it's just basically what was bad for me becomes good for you, and vice versa. Best you can do is get like-minded, continue on with the events, pray for all connected to help you with harsh winter. It's rather funny. There are places that have people connect. Your Second Life, your Club Penguins, and heck, even your old school Ralph Report. Thing is, it required massive moderation. It required clear laws and rules and the punishment to go with it. It's like how simulation works interestingly. It's just that now with this cultural schism and the internet invading our lives to the point where the digital ID has become a normal household talk, which is influenced by both malicious actors and the populace at large, and with the boom and bust of AI-generated content, we seemingly can't be truthful to ourselves and others. I don't think AI is the problem. I think it adds to the problem. But I don't think AI itself is the problem. Because AI is a tool. Certainly, generative AI can become a bigger part of the issue. But I don't think that's the core problem. I think it's the people. And I think it's the people with the vision for how they want to outsource all creativity, all influence, and all investment of personal connection to the bots. There's none better an example of that than Smash JT. Like, that is the perfect example of a content creator that does not understand and does not get that community aspect. But the people, I feel like the people are a different problem. Because all of this stuff is informed off the behavior of earlier generations. Right? Like, this shit didn't happen in a vacuum. These people that are doing this behavior are the youth. They were a generation behind mine. And maybe even people in my generation. They forgot the name Total Biscuit. They forgot how prevalent and how important formative situations and people and places were in their lives. They don't care because of the fact when it was time for the important shit, all they were asked to do was basically log into a website. If you disagree with this, I can understand. But I don't know. The fact that I'm the old fag here makes me think that there is something I'm missing. But when I look at all the evidence, I don't see anything missing from this equation. So it's either that that's just how they were, and none of us noticed, or there was a fundamental quantitative problem that occurred that the rest of us missed as a part of the formative experience that happened during COVID. I would like to think that it's the second and not the first. Because if it's the first, nigga, we handed power to the wrong people. And I do say we did it. We collectively together gave power to the wrong fucking people. Nice pop. It could also just be that the people that are a part of this are also people who are completely new to Twitter and social media in general. And so they weren't there for the formative years. That's also a factor that I'm considering here. Because most of us are old bags, I believe. So it makes sense that they'd miss it. Because there's no way for them to get the context otherwise. Into the hole. I feel like if Skynet does happen, it's going to be way more pathetic than we expected because people will use it for. If Skynet happens, it's going to be a Kumar takeover. I know that AI is not the actual problem. I'm saying that the people who used the AI willy-nilly with the malicious actors who mostly did it for a quick buck and fame made things worse. I wouldn't be surprised if hidden for the next content we are creators using AI to spark the flames of Gamergate 4.0 or some crap, and then we're really in the Kojima timeline. Well, I think that might be possible. The way that I see it, it's like this. People like Jay and myself, if we use AI, we do not use it as a replacement for entire creativity. Jay uses it as a way to basically entertain herself and come up with ideas to try and fill out a concept that she is then going to apply boot to ass for directly. For someone like myself, I could use it as a way to lay out a overall concept that I can then take to an artist, and then I can then use that as notes on how I can then ask that artist, and we can then collectively work together, as I am with Lenore, to flesh out an idea that then can become a thing that the rest of you get to experience and take part in, because you helped encourage its creativity and its creation. This is a feedback loop that creates a positive curve. So a positive feedback connection that says, I build the community, I build it, then they come. We have ideas that are all converging in the direction that a human cannot be replaced by a machine when it comes to creativity, because you need human creators in order to create things of viable standard. We then create the future that we want to build for, and we do not let it get corrupted by individuals that otherwise would say that it's impossible to do these things, because they have long since given up on appreciating the simple stuff, the simple things in life. I feel like we're closer to people not having ideas in eye to eye because their first investment was to make money off of the AI boom back when it started. To the point that you've got people like fucking Smash out here ye bowing till cows come home. And then when somebody says to him, man, your AI created opening is too long and it's bad, you should try making it better, he takes that shit to heart like he just said, fuck your moms, fuck your family, fuck your religion, fuck your Italianness. And it's like, no, seriously, do you have no pride in yourself, bro? Personally, I would say that's ridiculous. And yet that's actually a thing that happened. I would like to think that I'm the odd man out here. But I do not think that I am off the mark. especially with the new age. But that explains the older boomers. The younger people? I don't know. Matter of convenience? Because I don't know how there could be a person who would be alive or would have been an internet figure or been an internet fan during the time of Pipa, Nopa, and Sopa that would willingly destroy what people put so much time and effort into preserving. Unless it's just I don't appreciate this and I don't see the value of this type of situation. In which case, they don't fuck around and find out real soon. I fell down and then I got up. God damn, can I get a chest, please? Also, we got an answer to the question. No, they are too bitch made to show up on this live. We'll address that one in a second. Welcome back, Buster. Gamergate 4 is not something I want to be a part of. I can tell you that much right now. If Gamergate 1 is the failed question of people learning the difference on how to ask for proper representation in gaming media, and ask for people to actually do the job and do the research. And Gamergate 2 is the respondency of being antagonized for being individuals that could speak truth to power as single people being attacked by industry figures. And Gamergate 3 is the attempt of a crypto-fascist attempting to grab power through access media and through shill media. Gamergate 4 would be the absolute corruption of the rest of the basis of media contemporaries. Because then it'd be the people that aren't just known crazies, like Andy Pants. It would be like Friday Night Tights suddenly endorses the worst of the worst. Then again, Gamergate 4 might be a combination of that and also platforms like YouTube just simply fucking backstabbing as many people as possible. Because that's what they've been doing to content creators in general in the push for creating AI. They have been destroying channels overnight. To the point where they've been exposed for using AI with their responses. So it's like, whatever. And all of this because gamers wanted integrity in game journalism. And so, instead, what we got is we got media figures basically having people do their fights for them on the internet by saying, actually, content creators, it's stupid that you're saying that he's using this to avoid criticism and embarrassment. When literally on the VOD I can show where this happened. And yes, this person is dodging. This person is dodging. They're not willing to follow through. I think that's the worst part. The fact that I can do something as easy as type in Smash JT's name, go to media highlights, go to the highlights, and there are people looking for the attention on the posts. It's done frequently as a part of the coverage and of the news. And literally the individuals that are creating these reactions are themselves coming from the posts of the individuals doing the behavior. Like, it's a 1, 2, 3 step. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. You can see it. I'm showing it to you. I'm showing examples of it. And then The people that will try to respond to you about it are then going to say something like, nah, save that shit for content creators. I'm sorry, what is Smash JT? Not a content creator? So, he's not a content creator, right? So that means he's also not deserving of the protections that are afforded a content creator. So you agree with that, right? No, obviously not. He's using it to avoid embarrassment. Yes. People do that all the time. They play victim. They pick and cherry pick situations and then say that this is happening to them unfairly when they went looking for that attention so that everybody else in that sphere can be ignored. It's like when retarded individuals like this come along and say that I am comparative to people like Smash TT and Andy Pants, and then I laugh at them on their face, live on camera. Whether or not he's asking for unnecessary attention for trolls or haters, that's on him. We know attacking family for video game shit is stupid, so there ain't shit to discuss. But there is. You can not do it. And by being somebody who has that ability to recognize that, and I don't do it, I can then criticize another content creator who has an even bigger family and say, why are you doing this? That's not what you do. Don't do this. But, you know, it's a little bit hard. It's hard, you know? It's hard for people to grasp this, chat. It's hard to grasp this, you know? It makes common sense. It's done live on camera, so you can't say that I made it up. You can't say the examples don't exist. But, you know, and this is what people give energy to. Instead of focusing on the shit that's important, they want to try and go back and forth about some shit that is open and shut. But then, when you break it down to them, and you explain it to them, what do we have to discuss here, bro? Oh, I guess nothing. Delete your account. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. Ding, 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 ding. Here's your sign. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, chat. I don't know. 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 I do not know. I don't know, chat. It's as straightforward as that, I think. I don't think people should put their families on the internet to be potentially attacked because of internet bullshit. That's fucking retarded. And I think I can criticize them for that. Nah, man, you can't criticize him for that. Why are we even talking about it, bro? What's there to talk about, bro? I don't know. I guess nothing. I don't know, chat. Why does it take so long for it to load? Hello, Boster. How you doing, buddy? Paging. Mic's off. Paging. Take your time. I'm in no hurry.
Wait, did I accidentally mute my microphone?
Yes. Oh? Yes, the entire time. For the first 2 minutes.
Okay, I do apologize, Carl. Sorry, I'm just on the phone. I didn't know that my cheek has clicked the mute button. Sorry about that.
Okay. That's on your mind, buddy.
All right. Yeah, I was going to ask you a little bit of a non-standard question to kind of uplift our mood. What would you consider this year's to be, like, I don't know, in the sense of a highlight? Would you consider it to be a good year? What would stand out from in gaming or societal? Basically, a summary of this year. What would you consider it? Good, bad, something in between? A little bit of an open-ended question, but...
This year in gaming is pretty mid for the industry, but it's pretty much a successful win in the category of people who want to actually find video games that are worth playing, because there are more people that are willing to at least not just swallow absolute garbage and say that it's honey peach iced tea. There's more content in the actual form of real gameplay to go around. There are more people willing to contribute to said content through interest and business. They are willing to take part in the content because they are willing to invest into the success of the work, sometimes only in the interest of just self-interested investment, where they are willing to get involved because it's a fun game to play or because they saw an opportunity to monetize clout, what have you. There are more people spending time playing video games than just talking about video games. And in the interest of playing those games with other people and building an interest in getting more people into them, even if all they have to say is the laziest level of shit possible, they are at least providing opportunity for other people to get involved in the stuff that they want to do, so that it gives them some level of investment to really apply themselves with the kind of content that they're consuming, so that it's not just a feedback loop of the most boring shit possible. They're actually investing in deeper gameplay loops. They're investing in more content for themselves and others. They are getting people to try things out of their element, where otherwise they would say, this game's not for me, I think it's too hard. And then they go and play a game that is the exact same as that game, if not worse or better than that game, and its particular invested mechanics. It is the job and the interest of a bunch of people to take the best level of their intrigue in their hands and say that they truly get gaming right now. Doesn't mean that it's perfect. They're actually applying themselves. They're getting invested and involved. They're not wasting time. They're directly contributing to the marketplace of investment, rather than saying that they could never get involved with the gameplay loop that is afforded to us with all the content that we can do and that is available to our stuff. And they're able to accept that at the end of the day, what matters most is getting that camaraderie going rather than pure sheer fucking laziness. So, single player games, multiplayer games, extreme hardcore loot, clanner, PvP games, they're getting a lot of notice. Even if the people playing them are dog shit and have bad behavior, they are at least getting people invested in the content. And that is a good thing. It is a good thing that they are getting invested into the content. Because otherwise, the only thing that would be left is a bunch of fucking whiners and bitches and complainers. For that, Arc Raiders is my best example. I literally recorded a newer one today, where it is the one that is actually bashing the players that are complaining and bitching that they're losing their loot, while at the same time, they don't have fucking instincts to not get killed. Letting players walk up on them. Letting players get close enough to walk up on them, to take them for their bank. Shoot them in their spine. And then they're like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening! When they had more than enough time to react to what was happening around them and not be a victim. The fact that it's happening is not as funny as the fact that every single time a new game comes out like this, it goes through the same cycle of we're so over, we're so back. And in that cycle of we're so over, it's so back, it keeps happening in the next game. Because they carry the behavior with them. That's one evidence. The other evidence of this is that this is the year where people are realizing that they weren't completely bored of the kinds of video games. They weren't bored of the kinds of video games that they were being given to play as a part of their marketplace of investment and value. They were completely disinterested in the genre because they had spent almost all of their time surrounded by creators and types of content provided to them by individuals that basically had them completely bored out of their cabeza with material that gave them investment towards an actual desire to not spoil a video game, to allow people to experience the game after it's been launched like it deserves its flowers. Not just deserving the flowers, but then watering the flowers. Expedition 33 is the best case example of it, but it also is a part of the other problem, which itself is a positive, but it's not a good positive, it's a negative positive, but it's a positive in the fact that there are more people who have noticed it, and therefore they are now more annoyed by it. And that's that there are more people that have exposed the fact that there are people who are more interested in going back and forth across the net about their favorite game being better than somebody else's game, than actually getting invested with what that game can offer them. By that I mean, the amount of people that are going back and forth about Expedition 33, for example, they don't really want to play the video game. They're not really invested in playing that game. They're more interested in arguing with people about that game. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I follow you.
They're more invested in making fun of people about that video game. Oh, that'll load up to 7. They're more interested in mocking people about that video game. They're more interested in attacking people about that video game than actually really playing the game and enjoying the content that they supposedly said is peak. Because if they were actually invested in playing the game, why would y'all be arguing with these people? Aren't you missing Kino? Go play the Kino! The only way these people would be more focused on arguing about the gameplay rather than playing it is that they weren't ever interested in really doing that. Because Much like how when the left wing get a video game that they love to share and say is theirs now, which I guess you could say that is the case for Metaphor v Fantasio. When Expedition 33 comes along, and people decide this is the best thing that they've ever experienced, they can't wait to get more of it. They don't reflect that in their gameplay value. They don't reflect that in the shit that they're having fun with. It's an afterthought. And in being an afterthought, it brings more attention to the fact that they don't really want to talk about video games. They just want to replace it with what they think their version of trolling the left or the wing or the right wing or the apolitical or the dead of center is. And so they turn away from those people. And they turn towards figures, or even just completely disconnect themselves and then reconnect with the people who actually want to be a part of their influence. Which goes back to what we were talking about earlier in chat before you came back. The fact that there are people that are fans of content creators, like Du Bois, that yesterday, when he asked me the questions he asked me about the content creation, or was it the day before yesterday? The days are blending together. When he asked me that question that he had, and we discussed it in chat, on another chest, when we discussed it in chat, and we got into the brass tacks of, ultimately, you don't need to be listening to me for your advice. My job is to give you the information so that you can listen to your own instincts. Because I'm just a guy. It doesn't matter if I'm the guy with the best insight. Little bit of self-blaze. It doesn't matter if I'm the guy with the best insight. You don't need me to tell you what's good. You know it's good. Because you know it's good for yourself, you're able to figure out how you're going to engage with the stuff that is there for you to engage with. And then the sky's the limit. That's mostly what some of us have had to come to terms with at the end of the day, with the content that we are consuming and getting invested with and involved with. We are behooven to this access model that lots of people don't really appreciate for what it is, because they're not dug in the way that most of us culturally would have been. Me, I got into this young. I grew up in this space. So for me, seeing people go out the way that they've been going out, to watch some of my mutuals behave the way that they've been behaving on platforms, to see people spurting about never-ending fights, and then trying to debate about whether or not it's possible to have integrity while their favorite content creators continue to justify acting like the grifters that the reactionaries of yesteryear said that they would have been and would act like in the future, and see that come to pass and feel like I'm taking crazy pills because I'm seeing it happen, and they say they know all about their internet history, but they don't see it too. That's what gives me a lot of pregnant pause. And makes me think about the things that I do and take value in the shit that I do, as a part of my own personal interest, as well as creators that I choose to invest my time into spending time with, as well as getting to know, as well as taking the time to make sure that I make it clear that my opinion is not I'm the smartest one and that my opinion is the right way, but that I can see where people are coming from, and we can agree to disagree. I can say what I have to say, I can have my opinion, I can choose to take part of it myself or not, but no one can say that I didn't take the time to understand the subject matter and figure it out before I made a negative or positive opinion. And then granting enough space to people who come behind me and after me to know that the way that they do it is going to be different, but they can be somewhere closer towards the norm than jumping off the deep end. And the next thing you know, they're in bed with people like Naira TV. They're in bed with people like Nick Fuentes. And they are serving as a purpose to give energy to a distraction, rather than to their own investment for their own intrigue and their own entertainment. Assuming they care in the first place. This has been a very big year for exposing people like that. Exposing the grifters, exposing snake oil salesmen, talking about the snake oil salesman, and really just being afforded the opportunity to realize that amongst the left wing and the right wing, there's some really big fuck niggas out here in these Twitter streets. There's some really big clout chasers that really do not need money or attention. And because of the drama they get themselves into, it affords you the opportunity to know whether or not they actually have the capacity to do it, or if they're just one of the many people who came around and just did whatever they wanted to do for attention. And it's like, whatever. Because it's like Sujud said, some niggas just want to fight. And fighting them gives them more energy. It gives them more opportunity. And it's like, you can't argue with these people. Block them! You know? It's just as simple as that. You see some stupid shit, and you don't get it. You know? It's like, it's open shut. I explain this point. This person doesn't understand. I try earnestly to get this person to understand. They don't get it, or they're not seeing it, or they purposefully are not understanding. Why keep talking to somebody who's a brick wall? At the very least, mute them, move on with your day. The person comes back. They invest themselves in misunderstanding you. And the more you try to talk to them, the deeper a hole you dig for yourself. Recognize that you're digging a hole, and say, why the fuck am I even wasting my time on you? And you click on the block button and you don't think about it anymore. Because if they really gave a shit, they would argue. They would talk to you directly. But most of them, they're not engaging with people. And should they selectively choose to invest themselves with somebody's attention, the only way that they will is if they control the conversation themselves. And that's not acceptable. Because that's a lot of investment for that person and persons to take in with the shit that they're getting invested into, right?
Right.
And I'm not one to tell you guys, or anyone else for that matter, to waste their energy on a person who clearly does not want to be invested and involved. Because if they wanted to, they would. It's just as simple as that. If they wanted to, they would. They would not waste all of this time and all of that energy arguing about nothing in a circle if what they really wanted to do was to build something that then would stand the test of time after they're gone, or after they've spent their time being invested as much as they want to be invested. They would not do that. You'd hope that they would not like to do that, assuming that they are intelligent. And lots of people carry themselves as being intelligent. So, whenever that comes up and that happens, especially as it's happened this year alone, with like 40 plus different people, I am of the opinion that it should be very easy to tell who is one of the good ones and who is not. And then carry yourself and your business accordingly. Because you can't allow for people like that to take up your day and your time. They're not worth it. And at the same time, it behooves all of us to recognize when we're being baited. And to just simply go the opposite fucking direction. Because at the end of the day, if we don't, we let them use us. And it is worse to let people use you for something like that than you using it yourself. Still bad if you do it too. And if you know you're doing it, shame on you. But you know, you can come back around. You can say, you know, it was funny at the time, but now that I actually invest myself in stuff that matters, I can see why this is an issue. And never the twain shall meet. I think that's what matters most.
I wholeheartedly agree. Choose your battles carefully, especially nowadays where the attention and energy is very scarce and is not renewable, especially in this market.
I prefer choosing to spend my time wisely nowadays. Cause hey, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It is funny sometimes. It is funny to get involved in the argument and just simply fucking push people's buttons. I do it, Panda does it. It's something that we're specialized at. It takes skill to babysit retards and hold their hand through arguments, and then end up discovering an entire Twitter grooming session that's being proliferated by adults with young children. It is funny to do this. It is fun and funny in exposing stuff. The last time we did it, it was a Twitter hoodweeb who tried to threaten me with a gun, a picture of a gun, that they stole from a Facebook group, along with somebody else's borrowed weapon. That person is serving time in jail now. It was funny when it happened. But that doesn't mean that I should be spending my time on that shit. That is wrong of me to do. It's wasteful of my energy. And I think it's really, really easy to demonstrate how quickly we've just let people take the milker philosophy and end up milking each other. It's just really, really easy for us to forget how quick the switch up happened. And for what it's worth, not everybody's at fault. But we still have to take some level of responsibility. Because somebody's accountable. Anything else you wanted to ask?
No, I don't think so. I think we've exhausted the topic at hand, really. Really, basically, what you said, I agree with. But yeah, it was a hell of a year. Not only for gaming, but outside, but well, we will probably want to discuss this.
I mean, there's lots of other stuff that happened this year, but in terms of that, that's hyper-political shit. And I would rather not have to go into detail into the consequences of watching a man be murdered in front of his family. And then the media firestorm people have decided to proceed onto because they believe that because they don't like how she's grieving, and also now that she's revealed that she's, 8-10 weeks pregnant with his child on a timetable that people claim doesn't make sense. I'm of the opinion that the important thing to take away from that is that people have noticed and are noticing that it is a deeper involvement and a deeper investment of our time to consider that it is more influential and more important for us collectively as a unit to appreciate that people have come together and have finally realized how bad things actually are when people have started to make excuses for that man being murdered for the crime of what we're doing right now in this conversation.
Oh yeah.
That's the only good thing that came of this year with this kind of conversation. The only good thing that came from the conversation of people like Charlie Kirk is that people realized where we are now. And they see that it's so bad that people are willing to make excuses for murder because they didn't like the guy and what he said, but can't tell you a single thing about what he did or what he said that made it okay to wish for his death and to wish for pain for his followers. There is not a single person that can seriously approach and actually say that that makes sense. And that's probably the only good thing.
Yep. Makes you wonder what's gonna happen next year, but that's I don't even think I want to even speculate or even indulge that. It's just whatever comes next, it comes next. It will adjust and overcome, right?
I mean, the one thing that has come good from this is that BreadTube is thoroughly and permanently fucking dead and or dying and not recovering. Hashem Shanda, they are not recovering for shit. It is a political year, there is 4 years of Trump, and they can't make money for shit. They're dead. There's a silver lining in that.
Yeah. Always look at the positive. Half glass, well, half full, half empty, that type of a thing, right?
Yes. Because, for what it's worth, that's a lot of enemies. For what it's worth, the reason why that's important is that before, in the past, the only way that we would have been able to continue forward is in, like, a conjoined hatred of something like that of RedTube and their worst detractors and their worst followers, making excuses for the worst behavior amongst the most necessary trolls like Keffels, and so on, and so on, and so on, and the many clones of Vosh that exist, to justify being allowed to be on Twitter.com and make money off of the shit that they made money off of. But we're now in a position where we have gotten to the point that it's actually really, 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 really good that they can't recover, because it means that they're making no money in a year where in the past they would have made all the money. People like Actual Justice Warrior debunking people like Actual Jake, where Actual Jake can't get a single person to go onto his platform because he's been long since exposed as someone who cares only about the Antifa agenda and nothing else. Individuals like Dave Paul not being able to make money off of people like me, make money off of people like you, make money off of people like Jay, make money off of people like the salt farmers that are in that sphere of business, not make money off Friday Night Tights and whatever, because they're super focused on somebody who is basically a very, very small fish in a pond that is only given attention through other interrelated drama things that even business as usual basically is they hope that they make somebody really angry irrationally, but it then amounts to nothing. That is super good. Because in the past, the only reason we found ourselves in these situations was that it was created by individuals who saw fit to create the negative feedback loop of YouTube's current algorithmic system. It was because of BreadTube that there was a lot of money in video essays being able to say that the world was a lot worse than it was. And they cannot do that because it doesn't pay. Their Patreons are shutting down. They have to scam their audience members in order to get money. It could not be better for us. That's not necessarily good. I'm not cheering that they're able to script on scam people like New Studios has. But it is a good thing that it's fallen off. Because it means that people actually have to assess the actual content of the character. Rather than being told, I was told that they're a bad person, therefore I'll be against them always. It's irritating that it takes longer than it should, but it's still good. So politics is having less of a control, and now it's just internet schizos.
Internet schizos. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you for having me, Carl. Then see you around.
You're welcome. Who just DM'd me? Not somebody important. Okay. So, like, on the top of that, it's not all bad. You know, the world could have probably turned out better, but it's not all bad. Some of the shit's really bad. but it's not all bad. Ouch. I think the best part about it not being all that bad is that there's actually a lot more video games than people would expect to be able to play together for free. Technically, Path of Exile 2 is not free, but a lot of social games came out this year. And not like the friend slop ones, actual social games like Once Human. And I guess Where Winds Meet adds on to that too, but it's kind of hard to get into something like that, because it's like getting into First Descendant or Warframe. You're always going to be behind your friends, and that's going to feel like a slog to catch up. There's also Wilds, obviously. Title Content Update 4 is around the corner, bringing in the first Elder to the game. And for some of us who had started playing and then were playing through Title 1 and Title 2, it feels like it's last year. That's a part of that loop that is certain to the game. We did a lot of content on it and then moved on to new things and then went back and checked out the updates and played them in between. But it feels like it was last year. I'm certain that part of that is just a personal effect. Whee! Double checking real quick. Nope. Warframe is impossible to catch up on, and the Monster Hunter Wilds is disappointing me. The GOG is coming. But I did enjoy being able to carry 2 great swords at once. I feel like I'm with the opinion of some of the people that feel like we're not truly experiencing the truth of what the game has to offer yet. Simply because we haven't truly been able to experience everything yet. I feel like there's a little bit that needs to be delivered before we truly get the peak Kino that we might be expecting from Monster Hunter Wilds. You know, make a new character, play the loop in a new session, just like playing a new season in a new league, and it'll be better with more people together collectively, rather than asynchronously playing at the same time and during different times of day and night. There's an element of that that's there. There are definitely plenty of party games that have come through that is getting more people into the idea of the Hades-like, such as Section 13. While some games were absolute failures, outlaws, there are some games that came from the showcases that were actually worth the salt. And then some titles, Balatro, continue to just be absolutely perfect and are able to hold your time infinitely. So even when you're done playing one of those bigger games, you aren't suffering distraction from stuff that isn't truly worth your time. And it all comes full circle. And for everything else, they're JRPGs. Although I'll never find out if I never fucking play the ones I need to finish! And then, of course, if at any point in time you truly find yourself completely cooked and bored and losing the ability to connect to shit that is available to you, you can always be able to just do what I need to do, which is do the content pivot that allows you to do content at the behest of your channel. Give your audience the ability to get in on the fun. And then the party never stops. From lying, I'm crying. I can tell you that much. Where is the totem? Bottom right. Yeah, bottom right. Itchy. I think I just don't like how WoW is structured, plus there's no canteen. When they added the new hub, they were able to return that feeling that had the canteen, but I think in the base context of the gameplay, since you have to probably play the loop to get there, I can feel like that's missing in the gameplay loop from the core campaign experience, probably. Then, of course, you have the difference between the people who are familiar with Worlds and that they're looking to make it more accessible to newcomers like Rise. And those things are, like, meshing together. Because there are people that are thinking that the experience that existed in Worlds is the same that was ported to Wilds, but they're only remembering Iceborne. There's an element there where they're just remembering the gameplay loop of Iceborne. And so they're not really understanding how better this was for how you have been allowed different customization choices, whereas everything else that you were given for Worlds was basically, would you like to sell your soul for a decoration? Now, the Nightflower spawn camping definitely added to a lot of this evolutionary problem, which I don't think was necessary, and is why they patched it, because people were just simply not playing the mechanics of the game. Similar to how there were people that were making excuses to do the same thing in other video games, such as Arc Raiders with the Expedition reset. There's so many rewards. So many rewards that you can just easily farm like it's nothing. And the fact that people were not taking advantage of that, to me, is crazy. Personally, I think it's crazy. Because there are lots of people that just have nice memories of what Iceborne felt like. That when they map it onto the Wilds experience, it doesn't match up. Not to mention the ease of how quickly it is to get into it. It's just a different experience. And it's a different kind of Monster Hunter for players to truly enjoy. I don't think there's anything wrong with the way that some people have chosen to go about it. Ultimately, at the day, to each their own. I think some are coping more than others. Ow. And nothing. Wow. Oh, I dropped it. As far as MMORPGs and MMOARPGs and lobby-based ARPGs go, it's a new experience for some people. Because I can't know what the majority of you guys do. As far as I'm concerned, most of you guys play grand strategies by yourself a lot. But it's definitely a different experience for people to get engaged into. Itchy, itchy. Hello, Avalon. Vanilla World is a 2 out of 10. I agree. I think in the case of Helldivers, launch Helldivers was more fun than the float period, which I'm going to label as the forced grifter period. The period between launch and breaker or kick off my shit drama into buff divers was not as fun. Then, Escalation of Freedom, Omen of Tyranny, Heart of Democracy. I'm not going to say peak, but I'm going to say more suitable than the contemporaries would expect you to expect and accept. Then, the float period setting up into the Unjust. Slightly peak. Then, launch into the Unjust. Super fun. Then, the Hellwiners. Making it unbearably fucking boring. Where it is right now, after the part that I didn't participate in, which was the Vindication and the Liberation of Oshune. it has wrapped around to being the potential for really good peak. But much like with the drama of the Hellwiners, they tried to transform the game into something that it wasn't. And made it unbearably toxic in the time period that they did. And that definitely was an unfun factor of the gameplay. 100%. The honeymoon period for Helldivers is definitely over. You have to accept that there are people that have viewpoints for the game that do not reflect the reality of what should be expectant for a gameplay loop, such as the one we are given. And at the end of the day, the game amounts to something that you participate in, but you have to accept not everybody is truly on the page to be a part of. Because it's my opinion that in order to truly be a part of the Helldivers player base and community, just like with any game, you have to actually participate in the game. There are too many people that outed themselves during the cry session they wanted to have about launch figures, drama about the propaganda commander's situation, and what have you. That the game basically became Warframe Lite. In that, you play rounds and matches and sessions, and maybe you start farming for the currency to get the next war bond easier than normal. Because certainly anybody can power farm, especially on their lonesome. Nice staunching charm. Consecrated ground. Well, alright. It is of the mindset and opinion that anybody could be able to farm and then get the material. But to truly know what it means to truly be a part of the game, it's asking for a level of investment that not everyone wants to be a part of. And that thus then leads to a level of investment that, unless we put the time and thought into it, basically becomes, well, I used to have friends that play this game, but now I mostly play it for me. Because the opinion that I would have had beforehand does not match the opinion that I have now. I am of the opinion the community, and I'm air quoting that while I keep my hands on the keyboard, community that exists to be a part of a game like Helldivers cannot properly bring themselves out of the childlike mindset. Nice. That the game has to copy every single idea. From the suggestions of these users. Otherwise, the game is bad, the game is going to die, the game will be dead. And it'll be nobody's fault. Except the owners. Except that doesn't make fucking sense, because no, it won't be. You know, for a dead dude that community claims are stupid, they really want to farm credits. See, the problem with Helldivers and the credit farming is that that's the only way that normal people have the ability to get the premium currency without having to pay money. They very clearly need to have somebody. This is about to be a take that's going to piss some people off. They very clearly need somebody similar to Digital Extreme's relationship to Rebecca as the community face. Do not hire that person to become the face and the designer of creative. But they need somebody similar to Rebecca that actually reflects the viewpoint of the most casual member of the player base. And the poorest member of the player base. So that they can actually be able to streamline how people process the content and process the gameplay. Especially when it comes to the important premium currency. Because the problem is that when you have content creators that believe that they should whine and bitch and moan as loud as they did, to the degree where they said things that they're not allowed to do because they don't work on the game, and they do not know it for certainty that it would matter. But there's no one at the company that's speaking to them and saying, no, that's fucking dumb. It creates this idea that they are the voices of the player base, instead of being just some guy. Rebecca was a community founder head at Digital Extremes for Warframe, and is now, I believe, the head of creative for Warframe. Longtime member of the company. There is no person whose job it is to directly read and engage with Twitter and Reddit and the opinions of broadcasters and streamers, which is the entire reason why they outsourced the Propaganda Commanders organization to a third party. Like, the situation that happened to Erebin is what happens when you create an outsource. Clearly, the person who's a part of that program decided to personally take it upon themselves to deny people access to it. And when those content creators didn't get replied back to in a fashion they thought they were deserving of, they all threatened to quit the game. Notice they probably did not quit. They threatened to do it. And then threw bitch fits about it. The only creators that did not do that was Commander Kai and the smaller of smallest creators, who probably couldn't afford to basically quit bait because there's nothing for them to pivot towards. There needs to be somebody who serves as a community head of outreach, whose literal job it is to say, no, content creator number 576, we're not going to change this quality of life for this weapon because you think screaming grunt fantasy, grunt fantasy, grunt fantasy makes it true. You can't have content creators that will say things like, man, you guys really destroyed the game. You cooked it. The game is now broken and bad. At the same time, you look at their gameplay and it's like, why are you dying? Let's see. You walked onto the map and then you immediately shot at a horde of 50 bugs and then got chased by a horde of 50 bugs and then died. Yes, clearly the thing that's wrong here is that you need to be given more explosives, not you need to figure out how to not put a giant target on your back. Yes, content creator, how silly of us to not consider the viewpoint that you're just being you're being denied the true fun that you deserve to have. How silly of us! To me, that would solve a lot of some basic problems. Sundered armor duration 15 seconds. Holy. That's enough for 2 rotations. It should be very easy to address this towards a player base when you have that many people make that much content. And the reason why I say that is because you cannot allow streamers to believe that they can force things to go their way if they complain loud enough. You cannot give them that idea. Because then you're rewarding bad behavior. And that bad behavior cannot be encouraged. Because they're not gonna change. If you encourage them to do that bad behavior, they are not going to change. They won't change. They won't stop. They won't learn. They won't appreciate. They'll just keep saying, give me what I want. Because last time you did. It's like a reflection of African time. If you give them 40 acres and a mule, despite them not having earned it, they're going to complain that what should have worked before isn't working now. And to me, it is very clear that some of these people need to be told to get the fuck on. They need to be told that they are a problem. They need to be told that they're a part of the problem. They need to be told that they are not making things better for the player base. They are making things worse for the player base. It is necessary. You need someone who can be the designated villain. Because if you do not, the behavior will continue. You just have to have it. I wish you had the ability to see through their bodies so you can actually see what you're doing. And he's dead. Scroll back up real quick. Missed diving in Super Earth. I think in the case of things like limited time events, such as the invasion and the defense of Super Earth, or the beginning invasion upon the Gloom, I think that should be time limited. That's full mode that's supposed to be a part of the game loop. That way you can encourage people to get back into the game and to bring them back in. And I definitely agree. The newest War Bond was something that was definitely designed to satiate the masses, because they've been begging forever to get content like underhanded cannons, grenade launchers attached to main primary weapons, minigun, and so on. Also, my hot take. Please explain why I think you need to have somebody who's a part of the company be the forward-facing crowd that answers comments and questions and concerns from broadcasters and streamers. You need to have a person who specializes in talking to the player base as an in-universe representative person that is a part of the company, because the job of the business of Arrowhead is to put out content. If they're putting out content, they cannot afford to have a member that is part of creative have to explain shit constantly, because a content creator or a group of content creators, including the ones that are a part of the partner program, who specifically are under NDA and thus cannot talk about it unless they are a part of the rollout of it, to describe and control and be the influencing body about how design is done. You need somebody like Nika in the old days of League of Legends. Was important. Not that I was saying that Rebecca going from communications to creative director was a bad idea. I don't think it was a bad idea for the design of the player base. I think that Rebecca has particular opinions about politics that she chooses to implore as a part of who she thinks deserves to play Warframe. Like, as a creative director, her ideas have been good, because she knows what the people who are playing the game want. Outside of that, much like Riot Games, I would like them to limit their conversation about the gameplay and the player base to relevant video game things and nothing to do with people's opinions about politics outside of the game. Or inside of the game. By the way, continuing with my original thought, you need to have somebody that's able to tell the streamers no. You need to have somebody who's affiliated with the company who will tell the streamers no, and will be a direct line of contact between the communications team and the creative team that will then explain the game to people who are too lazy. Because it's like Thynier. Thynier is probably the only person that isn't in the propaganda commanders, but is actively participating in a lot of the communication chats inside of the official Discord, that actively has to tell people how to play the game on a fundamental level. And that's because there is a very bad tutorial, and the mechanics of the game, as necessary for the Galactic War, are not properly explained because the players are not actually engaging in the gameplay. They are doing things other than engaging in the gameplay. And you need to have somebody who's a part of the communication staff, but is also a part of the company, who in-universe will be the person who tells you how to play. Period. Because as much diversity and change that you can apply to a game does not as matter as much as if people can actually understand and learn how to play it and enjoy it. Now, for games like Exile, it is the design of companies like Grinding Your Games to have developers not tell you what to do because they don't want to take your fun from you and they don't want to tell you that there's only one way to play a dichotomy or to play an archetype. That's the job of people like me, to do it for you. However, in a game that is much more simplistic and has a lot less dials and bells and whistles to ring and to blow on, you need someone who represents the company to tell you things that are official. Because if you don't, then you can only go off of myths that then need to be busted by content creators that then have their content seen on a wide case basis. And even then, that doesn't mean that because that content creator is a part of your program, it means that their opinion is to be listened to at all times. So if a content creator does a good piece of work, it would be the job of that person that is assigned to this job at the company to be the one to highlight it and to bring it out. So when you deal with something like, say, a new piece of content, and you have the problem that we had with Into the Unjust, where the Dragon Roach rolled out in the state that it did, and it was literal misinformation, what we were shown in content footage and what we discovered in gameplay. The two separate conversations that needed to happen was the Dragon Roach needs to be fixed, but also stop lying about what the Dragon Roach does and how difficult it is, because the problem isn't the Dragon Roach, it is everything at the same time. And also this fundamental breaking of the targeter system that is applied to the Rupture Strain, and also the Rupture Strain combined with all of the oppressive tools for this new faction that we are learning how to fight against for the very first time, is aligned with a yet to, at the time, to have been discussed and determined enemy type that we then had to learn how to overcome and how to counter. Realistically, the rollout of Into the Unjust, the first mission, the first ever mission order, should have never been a sample count. That was a bungle. It should have never been a sample count. It should have been an elimination order. It should have been an elimination order to kill Terminids into a mission order to discover information about the Hive Lord, into a mission order that then had a specific amount of sample focus to be recovered in the form of E711 that was then fulfilled with a side order strategy of destroying Hive Lords. That is the order that it should have happened in. Because there's not a person that officially serves as the mouthpiece of the studio that can understand and can talk to members of the community that are level-headed and interview them and discuss it with them as often as possible to say, here's my viewpoint, here's what I think, and that person be live on a camera doing so, it is behooving to that person to have been able to say, guys, it's new content. You're not supposed to know everything yet. But because it is a company that is a smaller developer that has been put on the map because of this explosive piece of content that many content and media grifters decided to use as a battering ram and as a beat stick to increase their own viability and their own content loop before they decided to turn on it and then immediately went back to trying to use it to build themselves up. That conversation never happened. Instead, what they did is that they looked at a lot of the complaints that were being put out on the Discord and being put out in videos and being put out in live streams, and they gave them a half measure of responses towards changing the light armor class to a better suite and a better archetype of DPS that can actually have some serious durability power, and then also a quality of life delivered unto the epoch that it did not need to have, but it's nice that it has, even though it didn't matter that much, because people already using it already found solutions around the problem. Suffering from success, truthfully. It's suffering from success any way you write it. Then, on the idea on whether or not that is friend slop, that's a personal opinion. I would say in the affirmative, amongst a group of people that don't treat it like it's something bigger than that, it would probably be considered friend slop. Like, if you don't care about the game in that way, you're probably going to say that it's friend slop. That's just obvious. It's just obvious that that's the case. I would like to think that I'm wrong. And maybe there's people that disagree with me. But I think it is the case that amongst friends, if they do not care about anything else and they just view it as a replacement for Payday 2, they're going to play it like it's a replacement for Payday 2. Which Payday 2 itself is friend slop. From there, the game becomes what you want it to be. Because I don't think it was ever going to be this big, massive developer boon that was going to bring in massive amounts of audiences. I don't think it was possible for it to do that. You can't blame Sony for sabotaging it. Because with the inclusion of the new divers, there's lots of stuff that needs to be fixed. Including explaining how the Galactic War works, and then also making it possible so that people can actually contribute to fronts at all times. Not just the front that they want us to fight on. Although it is understandable that they will try to contingent on that, specifically based on whether or not they want us to go there, since it is a tabletop RPG, and not the kind of MMO that people think that it is. But at the end of the day, those are the things the game needs to have, in my opinion, in order for it to evolve to its next evolution. If it does not get those things, it will not evolve to its next evolution. Because the development is in the eye of the people who decide it deserves it. There are many players that do not believe the game deserves evolution. That it should only ever remain the lowest common denominator. And that's very disheartening if you really like actually teaching people shit. For somebody like me, it influences my investment on what I put my time into for the game. So for me, it will directly affect my entertainment value. If someone tries to ruin my fun before I'm ever allowed to have it, that will personally annoy the piss out of me. It would permanently ruin my fun. If someone decided to do something as silly as attempt to ruin the game because they cared infinitely more about some drama shit that did not matter at the end of the day. Especially if that person goes out of their way to make the game unbearable to play, as people are wont to do inside of those public lobbies. Because it's supposed to be a game that brings people together. And there are more people who want to tear themselves apart than actually enjoy playing the game with other people. And to really address that, you need to have a person who tells them to stop that nonsense. And there's very few games that have that appeal. Like, on the subject of Arc Raiders, that is literally the immediate cope that those users say whenever somebody tells them, hey, have you considered the fact that actually we need to work together as a group in order to make things possible? That you don't have to murder people that you find on site? That doesn't mean that you can't play the game with the intention of fighting people. But have you considered not murdering them on site when you see them and trying to take their stuff from them just because you can? Because it seems to me, for something like Arc Raiders, which functions very similar to overall world events inside of Helldivers, that they're going to make the player base have to work together to unlock that new map that they're planning. And if they don't, no new map for them. It's very similar to us having to work together in Helldivers in order to unlock the next tier of content. Where if we don't work together, we don't get to see content. Period. Or if we don't succeed at something, we don't get to get the material. Maybe those people like it that way. I couldn't tell you. But what I do know is that feels like the punishment that's going to happen. And then when that starts happening, other people are going to start crashing out about it. And it's ridiculous when you really think about it. Itchy elbow, itchy elbow. I mean, it's War 101, but the thing that people aren't really getting is that when they're playing these multiplayer games that are meant to be team-based PvP, they are still playing these games like they're playing individually. Like, we've come a very long way since the day of the MOBA. And I think an arena MOBA is better than the MOBAs like League of Legends. Because if we were playing a lot more HOTS, Heroes of the Storm, or Survival Project, or Eternal Return, you would see less people being selfish. But because most people are antisocial as fuck and they only play with their own investment and their own fun in mind, it creates a loop. People flood into the game because they were told it's a game that's going to be playable for the first time and it's going to have a different level of investment and a different level of involvement than most people are prepared for. But what ends up happening at the end of the day is that they only truly get involved in the sense that they can have their own fun at the expense of everybody else's investment and involvement. But there are people that have been playing it since beta and then also claim that the only way to engage in stuff is to play the way that they intend. Wow, that's a really nice spirit necklace. It's just pretty obvious to me that they're not really interested in participating in it in a normal capacity. Lord have mercy. That's just an amazing staff by itself. That too is an amazing staff by itself. The shrine's less so. Though that does have intelligence. Itchy. My nose is itchy. And now we're suffering debuffs because we failed the previous major order. Well, we were already suffering those before when we were failing on Oshione. And we'll eventually get back again. Just like we did when we had to survive Oshione, and then we conquered it. So, people will figure this shit the fuck out eventually. Eventually. That's the important part. Eventually. Either way. The time now is 3:22. I will give you all 2 minutes to come up with comments, questions, and concerns that you might want to ask me before I leave. I've been here long enough. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Interesting. I'd rather not describe what I just read. None? Okay. Well, thank you all for joining. Thank you for calling in. I need to prepare dinner ahead of time so that we can then have enough time tonight to continue with the viewing of the debate that happened between Naira and the other VTuber. If I don't end up getting to it tonight, we will get to it on Monday. And should I not do that tonight, then the next thing that I will do is I will continue with the audience deliverables that I need to finish, which is probably going to be No Straight Roads. Because I have... how many days? Three days, 22 hours, and 35 minutes. So, I accidentally played one of the DK West fights. I think it was the second one. After I finished with Genu. I don't know how long the game is. And I'm not sure if I will invest all of my time into learning the parry and perfect parry difficulties. Because when I tried to look up any information on about how to do them, I couldn't find shit on them. Be that as it may, I will push myself to finish them. I did not do a good job of putting them in a playlist that could be watchable for those that want to watch back on them. However, there is a new feature that is integrated into YouTube that I want to tell you all about very quickly. Inside of the YouTube backend, for customizing video content, they have introduced a category of playlist. And that playlist category is something called a course. It is basically a playlist that can be specialized for a type of content. So, what it does is it makes a playlist out of the content that you put together. So, you can create a course, and you can add existing content and upload new content to it. It becomes a type of playlist that you add to. It allows you to collaborate, to collate everything into one place. It acts like the ability to make a new list of something. Like you're designing something for Guru content. I think what I'm going to do, especially for requested content, is I'm going to start putting that content into a playlist. I'm going to make myself sit down and put it all into a proper playlist so that you can actually watch it all from beginning to end. I had done this before in the past, but I was keeping up on it because it was Baldur's Gate 3 I last did this to. I think I'm going to do it in a way similar to what is done by Vara, where I'm going to make sure that it has its own unique name, convention, and thumbnail so that you can be able to find it. And from there, it's all good. It's all goofy. It's all like gravy. Alright? I will see you all later. Thank you for joining us. I will see you all another time. Later days, dude.